I'm Kamel Fisher and you're watching the Sequire Spotlight. We are live here at the LD Micro Invitational. We are at the Four Seasons Hotel in Westlake Village, California. With me, I have Matt Nicosia, and he is with Vivakor, with the ticker VIVK. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you very much for having me today.
Excited to have you. Always wonderful having conversations with you. And today we want to hear more, of course, about who Vivakor is.
Excellent. Looking forward to it, and as most of us know, or should know hopefully, Vivakor is a waste remediation company, finding ways to take natural resources out of waste, specifically oil, and turning both the oil, and in this case soil, dirt, usable, and hopefully cleaning up the environment at the same time, and creating a nice financial return for the future.
Excellent. Sounds like a very complex process that you got going there. Tell us more about how that actually develops.
Excellent question. It's actually very complex. The ability to extract oil or hydrocarbons from a soil-based material, but to do it at scale is the big issue. So we have a patented technology, multiple patents have been filed, 2 have been issued.
Right.
And what we do with that is we found ways to where we can add a 3-part system, add a hydrocarbon-based solvent. That solvent then causes a suspension of the dirt or soil within the oil.
Wow.
Then we separate out the liquids from the soils. Now you got this nice dry material.
Right.
And now you have a liquid material which is mixed with our solvent and with oil. Now we take that oil material and we can custom make the end product that we want, whether we want to make an asphalt for roads, which is going to be huge for the future, or whether we want to make a recycled fuel. So now you're taking a waste product, making it usable again.
Wonderful. And how much percentage-wise of this waste product can be split into those 2 ways of using them?
Excellent question. So it depends on what the actual material is by nature. For example, in Utah, 80 to 70% of it is that heavy asphalt. 20 to 30 is a lighter material that could become a fuel product. Now, in the Middle East, on the project working in Kuwait, it's about the same type of ratio as well. 80% heavy, maybe 20% lights that are trapped in those molecules. Now, when we get to Houston, we get to the other products where we're cleaning up material that would normally go to a landfill.
Right.
Now, that material could be 70% fuel product. 30% hydrocarbons, 30% an asphalt product. It really depends on what the core or the original material we're taking in is. So it'll be a range, and luckily we can adjust for that range.
Wonderful. So tell us about your locations and what you typically find in terms of waste product there.
So the idea of, we have Mother Nature's mess, and then we have man's mess. So Mother Nature's mess is Mother Nature's already put in place, such as Utah. I mean, you go to areas of Venezuela, you go to areas all around the world, they have outcroppings of oil that has spilt and contaminated the soil. That's Mother Nature's mess.
Right.
And that can be from percentage of 100% to 2 to 3% oil by weight. And that material, most likely because of the millions of years of oxidation, is a heavier asphalt type of product.
Right.
Now, you get into man's mess. And yes, the Ukrainian war, the Russian war against Ukraine, they've spilt a whole bunch of material. There's going to be a lot of cleanup there. We're still involved in the cleanup of the UN project on Kuwait. I mean, Vivakor is specifically doing that now, almost 30 years later. It takes that long to clean up material. So man's mess is a variety, and it will be. Now, it could be contamination to soil, it could be contaminations into water, and there's all sorts of different materials. So we have to be careful. When we take an incoming supply of material, we have to analyze it ahead of time and make sure that it's safe for us and also for the environment to extract.
Wonderful. So you obviously seem very passionate about, what the company does. Is there one particular thing you can highlight as being the most passionate about?
Well, the most passion in today's world, and what I feel I'm seeing this currently, is the ability to make both the oil and the soil usable. Because most either destroy the soil or destroy the oil. Now, we know we need this natural resource. We need it for energy. We need it for all sorts of things. We're not going to be independent of it, in our opinion, in any near future. So, but the ability to take a waste that will contaminate and now make it usable, we're really excited about. But now you got the soil too. The soil's usable. No waste, low carbon, if any, pretty exciting.
And tidying up.
Tidying up? Absolutely tidying up the
cleaning
environment.
up. That's wonderful. I'm excited to hear about the developments, and I look forward to seeing what else transpires.
Absolutely.
Can you give us a little hint of what's coming in the near term?
Well, we've already announced we're expanding. We've hired a group in Houston.
Okay.
There's a lot of expansion we see in processing tank bottom sludge. So those big oil tanks that have the sludge in it that waste down, the bottom, they have that material that has to be cleaned out.
Right.
That gets thrown away. There's 9 billion barrels of that material worldwide in 2017.
Oh, wow.
That material can also be recovered. That material can also be used.
Right.
So anywhere where there's a lot of oil production and storage, we're going to be there.
Yeah.
And we see 20, 30, 40, 50 years of opportunity creating long-term cash flow and long-term product from what we do.
Excellent. Wonderful. Can you tell us more about your board of directors, your management team,
Sure.
and what they bring to the table?
So being a NASDAQ entity, we've got a phenomenal board of directors. I'm the chairman of the board.
Yes.
We also have a head of our compensation committee, a gentleman named Trent Staggs. Trent is a mayor in a city in Utah. He's a seasoned veteran in the financial industry. He's been a successful turnaround artist. We've got Al Farrar, who heads our audit committee. Al worked at BDO Seidman, head of their audit division. Al was a seasoned veteran, sits on the boards of a couple other listed companies as well. Strong background in accounting. We've got Mr. Matt Bulk. Matt was an investment banker for many years. Matt's taken quite a few companies through the NASDAQ process. He actually took one NASDAQ himself. Very influential in helping us in the communication with the street.
Right.
And then we've also got Mr. Joseph Spence. Joseph Spence was a retired Goldman Sachs executive. Joseph was, he also was at NASA. He focuses now on smart cities and smart infrastructure. That's kind of a little hint for the future as well. Imagine the new futures of the future the roads of the future from the waste of today, but smart roads. And that's what we're going to be bringing with this whole Vivakor opportunity.
Very exciting. But tell us about new locations. Are there any new locations you guys are?
Well, so Houston we're looking at right now, obviously. So if we look all around the world, we've had conversations, this is public information, on bids that have been out there. You're talking like the Igoni lands in Nigeria, a humongous cleanup project that BP and Shell have spilt for years on. That's coming up. We would love to participate in those. There's projects all throughout Latin and South America. The U.S. specifically right now, look at any of your big cities, they've got humongous waste product sitting in landfills.
Right.
We had one of our board advisors, Mr. Ron Xavier.
Yeah.
Ron had conversations here in California not too long ago, talked about all the opportunities available in just California alone for processing waste and some contaminated pits and area just in California. So a lot of exciting things happening as those areas become available.
Great stuff. Can you give us a summary on the company's bottom line performance? Just some recap of what that looks like.
Sure. So COVID affected the company drastically.
Right.
We were in Kuwait. We had to shut down. We're hoping to be back in Kuwait operational very shortly here. Kuwait's now kind of opening up for business. So last year, we had $1 million in revenue. We had barely any operations. It was all business development and building of machines. This year, this quarter now, we're getting up in operation, both in Utah, Kuwait, hopefully next quarter will be running. Houston next quarter we're hoping to have running. Now these systems are pretty amazing. They operate the same amount of material. They clean the same tonnage per hour, no matter what we process through it. So we see Utah, we see Houston and Kuwait operational this year. We see a nice top line revenue. We're looking in the range based on how fast we can operate in Houston. You can see close to 10 million in potential operational revenue this year for those projects. We expect bottom line this year to still be at a loss or close to break even, as we're having to expense a lot of things from the NASDAQ listing process. The next 2 or 3 years, we expect a lot of excitement around a nice, strong bottom line. For one reason, these are high margin operations due to the price of oil currently, because we get paid to sell this recycled oil. We get paid to sell this asphalt at current rates. So we see a 20-30% operation margin on a long-term level, could adjust up or down based on the price of oil. Yes, we do benefit from oil prices, and we are subject to oil prices because it is an oil product. But we are cleaning up the environment and taking a waste product to then apply that to the oil industry.
Wonderful, great, very detailed explanation, and it makes complete sense. So thank you for sharing that. I want to know more about competitors. How competitive is the space, and how do you stay ahead?
Very good question. So there's two other types of competition. One is what we call bioremediation. So bioremediation is when they add microbes to oil in dirt. They put a lot of water, and the microbes eat up the oil, and the oil kind of dissipates. Now, they still end up with 10% of that entire ton they process is still heavy oil sludge. So they're going to clean 90%,
Right.
not all of it.
Right.
That destroys the oil, recovers some of the soil, and still has a waste left over. That's what most are using in the remediation side. Now, the other is a thermal process. Thermal is these big, long rotary valves are going to stick the material through.
Right.
They're going to heat it up, and they're going to burn it all.
Oh.
So they burn the oil,
Oh. Yeah.
then they burn all the soil,
Right.
and what comes out is carbon black,
Right.
a nice coal type material, and they throw it away.
Oh.
That doesn't help. That's not good for either the product
Right.
or the environment.
More waste.
We're the first that we're aware of that does a separation and makes both usable. And we're the first ones in the state of Utah to take the oil sands and put it 24 hours a day production, or closed loop, continuous feed, and sell material.
Right.
And we're the first we're aware of in country in Kuwait to actually process the heavy sludge material north of 10%. And when we're done, it's 0.2% oil by weight. So we've accomplished those pieces, and that's the difference between us and our competition.
Right.
We don't destroy either. We make both usable.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we're excited.
Really good. Yeah. So I want to hear more about Mr. Matt.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Tell us about your background and why you find yourself in this space. What inspires you to be here and to make the difference that you're obviously making?
Well, my background is I did an MBA in Southern California 23 years ago.
Right.
Love living in Southern California. I've done a lot of business development here. I've been involved in from biotech companies to nanomaterial companies to we'll call it product companies. And in those, sold a couple, built some different ones, and found myself in a position. What I'm really good at is taking an idea from conception into reality and commercialization. And what I became passionate about here at Vivakor, as I had a chance since 2011 to kind of really restructure the technology base in Vivakor, was interesting. How can which is what the name Vivakor stands for. It stands for the Viva, meaning the life of the earth, is at the core of our technology. How do we extend that? How do we, from a responsibility standpoint, make the environment last longer, be more efficient, but also at the same time have a financial return? Yeah, and that's why we're doing that both in the goal is long term, not just the soil, not just the land, water and air as well. How do we really have an impact? Because we're finding at each location they're asking us, can you do my water? How can you make the air better? So there is a knowledge around that this needs to happen. We think we're going to be the ones that are going to do it.
I don't have a doubt about that at all. Which leads me to any new products or services that may be, coming from all the development.
We have a cavitation device, which we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Cavitation allows us to, you put, I would say, heavy oil through or dirty waste oil through, and it makes it a better product, which we can then get more efficiency out of. We're pretty excited about the cavitation.
Okay.
That'll add a lot of excitement in quite a few different realms. But also, we've talked about this, we've put this out a couple times, the piezoelectric ceramic material that we're doing research with TBT Group as well as with Rowan University in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. The ability to have these smart sensors attached to this piezoelectric ceramic material that as the cars drive across and it vibrates and it powers up and communicates with all the automated vehicles of the future.
Right.
We believe that unless you have smart roads, you're always going to have stupid cars. But we want to be the ones to provide that from the waste of it today. And we're hoping for a lot of good news over the next future. There's a lot of capital behind smart roads and electrification and transportation bills that have been put out there. And that's something we want to see a lot of excitement in.
Awesome. Let's touch on some challenges. There's strengths, there's challenges.
Always.
What are you guys facing and how are you going to overcome that?
So supply chain is an issue.
Of course.
Everything in our machines is fully automated. From the pump, the sensor, to every aspect is electronic and controlled by one master system with backups and dual backups. But a lot of that, due to the supply chain issue due to COVID, has slowed down. So right now, one of the issues is how can we finish machines or remediation processing centers faster? Before COVID, it took us 6 months to build one. We're finding right now it's about a year.
Wow.
But we're hoping that speeds up. We expect to make some larger production cycles to help speed up that time frame as well. And that hopefully will result in multiple machines being deployed over the next 2 years. Because our financial performance is tied to how many machines we deploy.
Okay, so we'll be keeping a close eye on that.
Yes, when you see a machine deployed, that should mean more revenue, more EBITDA, all those wonderful things that come into financial metrics.
Awesome. So the buzzwords in the market, as we all know, rates, hikes, inflation, quantitative tightening, the war in Russia, Ukraine.
Yes.
Does any of that impact you very directly, and what can we do about that?
Very good question. So the Ukraine war actually drove oil prices up. We've seen almost a 30% increase in prices due to what we sell. And our costs have not gone up 30% yet. So our cost structure is lagging that, which is nice. So we do have an arbitrage in that, where our revenues should be higher increase compared to our cost increase, which definitely is an aspect. Rates, yes, rates are an issue. Long term, we believe the best way to finance these remediation processing centers, which we're doing currently, is either through debt or through a special purpose vehicle financing. We will not be going to the market for capital. This has definitely affected the market. We do not anticipate, nor do we, you never say never, but as the board's directive and the management's directive right now is we're not going back to the market for any capital. We'll do all of our project financing from our systems, whether it be debt or special purpose vehicle financing, which we've done in the past, which helps us to avoid issuing of new stock and to keep that common stock at a minimum compared to at a maximum. But yes, rates definitely affected as well because we borrow capital too. So as we look at it, does the cost of capital, the increase the cost of capital, is it beneficial or non-beneficial based on the opportunity in front of us? So far, all of that is in line, and we're in phenomenal positions due to the ability, the cash flow side of this business from selling those high oil price products.
Wonderful. So just before we close off, I'd like us to leave our viewers with 3 key takeaways, just to condense all this information into, very insightful knowledge tips for them to take away and remember about Vivakor with the ticker VIVK. What do you want to leave them with, and where can we find more information?
So the company's website is www.vivakor.com. Obviously, our information is available on the SEC's website. We're a fully reporting NASDAQ entity as well. A couple key points to take away. First off, we do benefit from oil prices. We sell a recycled product, so keep that in mind in the future. Our oil recycled product actually is in higher demand than normal oil product due to the fact it's done in a clean nature. Second key piece to keep in mind, as we deploy a remediation processing center, these are not short-term contracts. They're long-term structures that allow for long-term cash flow, which is definite. It's a direct benefit to the company's top-line revenue, EBITDA, and it should be to the company's market cap valuation. The third thing to keep in mind is we do believe that the ability to separate oil from soil, make both usable, allows us to be applied in certain areas, not just where there's oil extraction, where there's other very precious minerals, such as silica and other pieces that could have huge long-term benefit, all available from Vivakor's technology.
Excellent. Thank you so much. This was a wonderful conversation once again with Mr. Matt Nicosia, and he is the CEO, as you've heard, of Vivakor with the ticker VIVK. This is the Sequire Spotlight. Stay tuned for more.